Hi, welcome again to your devotionals with Andrew Gila. I'm delighted to join you again as we take this interesting journey of faith of Abraham, who is known as our father of faith. Last time we reached Haran. We are in Haran and we are about to leave Haran. Abraham is about to leave Haran to go down. And I would like to just bring a small recap on where we are coming from. And the key things that we have learned so far is the easiness of Abraham to agree with God when God moves him. You realize different from what we know and many of the Christian folk understand. It's like God talks to Abraham once or twice or thrice, but God appeared to Abraham countless times, not countless really. He appeared to Abraham many times, more than 8 times, specifically telling him about what he wants him to do. And it was easy for Abraham to flow with God, agree with God, and easily flow with what God had laid in his heart. If you have been following this, you remember I said the call of God is that impression of God, is that a quickening of God in the heart of a man. God does not appear to people in a physical sense. God is not physical. He has to connect with you in the spirit. Now, in this episode of today, we see Abraham hearing God, and in the 12th chapter of Genesis, God appears again to Abraham and he says something very special. Now the Lord had said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. That is what I'm emphasizing. And Abraham left. Abraham has settled for decades in Haran. It's not an easy thing to pull your houses down and to vacate an area that you know so well, a place you're accustomed to. You have familiarized yourself with that place until you're there. Like I said in our last episode, it's very easy to settle in a place and you think that is God's best for you. When Terah was involved in the journey from Ur to Haran, he had some sense of control over how they need to go because Abraham is his son. But we realize that was just a detour. The real man who God was leading was Abraham. And we see the easiness of Abraham now when God speaks to him in verse 4. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him. That is important. It sounds simple and easy, but brothers and sisters, we struggle with that. We struggle with that a lot because we hear God and we want to hear again. Instead of acting, we want to hear again. I want to be sure God spoke to me. I want to be sure about this. You see, you like a small child who learns the language of their mother tongue. You don't talk like, I want to be sure I know how to pronounce this word. You begin to pronounce the words, and the people who know how those words are pronounced will clap for you and say, you're saying it right. You may not be saying it perfectly. And as we are going to see in this chapter 12, you're going to see the abnormal Abraham. In the entire chapter 12, we may be able to complete it in this episode and the next one, to complete now the journey from Haran, how Abraham encounters that journey, and the things he experiences in that journey, which show how normal and natural of a human being our father of faith Abraham was, just like you and me. For me, it's important for you to tell me your strength, but I would like to know how you deal with your weaknesses, because strength and when things are positive and are doing well, you don't need a lot. But when you are not the best of shape, when things are not the way you expected them to be, what do you do? Because that's when people give up, when people enter depression, and people vacate their dreams. Abraham shows something special. One is a normal human being. So in verse 4, he starts by first accepting to move quickly and accept the will of God, and he departs and goes. And he's at the age of 75. Then Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered. These men had possessions. They gathered a lot of possession. already that's a sign of the blessing of God. He has a lot. He's not a struggling brother. And the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. Abraham departs with all that he had gathered, with all his people. This is a man who is leaving not to come back again. That's an important thing. You must follow the Lord like your burned bridges behind you. You must follow the Lord with the attitude like we have been seeing with our father Abraham. You following the Lord fully. You see, our God never wants to compete with anything for our hearts. He wants to be separate. The Bible says, separate the Lord in your heart. So Abraham, regardless of all that he has gathered, he takes everything. He goes fully. With all the people, with everything, he is not coming back. That is the attitude we need to have. When you go like you're not coming back, you demonstrate faith. And God goes before you because he alone has become your security. So Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh. Then the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, the Lord is still appearing to Abraham. Like I told you, he didn't appear to Abraham once, he appeared to Abraham many times. And that is a sign that God is leading Abraham. Abraham is not always sure on what he needs to do. Just like you and me. You don't need to be overwhelmed by the fact that you woke up and you don't know what you need to do. I want to encourage you, my brother. You do not need to know everything. Nobody knows everything. But we know our God, like I said in our past teachings. You know the God who is leading you. Lean on him. Wake up, and regardless of what you feel, just step forward, knowing he is with you and he knows better than you do. So Abraham here, he comes to the land of Shechem, and the Lord appears to him and says, to your descendants, I will give this land. And there he built an altar to the Lord who appeared to him. Abraham pauses to worship. Abraham pauses and builds an altar. And the Bible says, and he calls the name of the Lord. He built an altar to the Lord who appeared to him, and he moved from there to the mountain east of Bethel. And he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called the name of the Lord. Let's pause there for a while. Abraham, just like you and me, having received the call of God, just like you and me, and like I said, even those who have not born again, they hear the call of God, leaves and he comes to Shechem, and then he moves ahead. The Lord appears to him, then he's moving ahead again, and he sets an altar. And when you look at Abraham, he's a man who is walking normally like you and me. You could be a businessman and you've started this business. After 3 weeks, you realize it's not what I wanted it to be. Then you're in that other business. And all of a sudden, you begin to allow the spirit of the enemy to show you that God is not with you. No. The difference is, God is God, you are a human being. You have limitations. Things are not always 100% clear before you. That's the message I'm bringing to you concerning our father Abraham. He's just observing, like I said in our earlier episode, Abraham leaves all of the Chaldeans and is walking and moving along River Euphrates. It's normal sense where there is pasture for your animals. So God is with you in your challenges. God is with you in your wrong judgments of things. God is with you in your situation of lack of clarity. He is still there. If you didn't have those issues of limitation, you wouldn't need God. But you and me need God because we are such limitations in this life. So, like our father Abraham, don't give up. Keep moving forward, and you will see more crazier things that happen to Abraham in this chapter, and you will be encouraged. So Abraham sojourned, going on still towards south. He has put altars here. He has built an altar there. He has called on the name of the Lord. He's still moving towards south. Then now there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. Big point. Abraham, again there, is faced by famine. just by disappointment. It doesn't look like the promise of God. It doesn't look like the good land that God had promised him. It doesn't look anything like that. So what do you think is happening in Abraham's heart as he prepares to leave this land to go to Egypt? Stock is dying, the situation is harsh, and he has people to preserve. Naturally, as a human being, he thinks. But I want to encourage you, even as you think naturally, as you look at, observe situations, and you continue to live your life, remember the covenant of God is with you. The blood of the Son of God was shed on Calvary. That covenant happened. And if you have put your faith in Jesus, may you not be discouraged by the things that come your way. Abraham here finds himself in Egypt. And in our next episode, we are going to see what happened in Egypt. How do we prove that God was still with Abraham even when Abraham leaves? Because Canaan is not in Egypt, but he goes to Egypt. Although part of it encompasses the entire land that God gave him, but he goes there and it's almost outside the plan of God. But God is still with him, trying to bring him. You see, Abraham, unlike Moses and the law, is not being judged by any particular code. And that's why we are not judged by any particular code. We are judged by our belief, our trust, our relying, our confidence in the shed blood and the covenant that was shed on Calvary. If you are a believer, be encouraged regardless of where you are. In the footsteps of our father of faith, Abraham, you find yourself secure in God, even when you face challenges, even when you make wrong decisions. They are not deliberate decisions. You're simply acting as a human being. But if your heart is hooked up with God, your actions may not always rhyme, but your heart will keep you alive and strong in God. Be encouraged, never give up, even at hard times. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. See you again.